Moving on here, we can play a little game.
I'll play a game.
Would you
I
like
like
to?
games.
You
What do you
like
got?
games? I got a game for you.
Yeah, hit me. What do you got?
Okay. So, as we know, Epic is having a hard time.
Oh yeah.
They're struggling to handle this battle with Apple, and at the same time, they are continuously loss leading in their battle against Steam by basically just shoving money at any game they can make exclusive. As we've seen over the years, the Epic Game Store exclusive has become well, you know what? Because people suck and are not fun, the game has been ruined. Because I was going to ask you how much money you think they lost as time has gone on in their attempt to buy out Steam, but everybody's fucking no fun, so that's ruined. They
A lot. I was running my own math on the statement they released. Honestly,
it's
a
crazy,
crazy amount.
how committed they are to basically pricing out Steam in the hopes that it'll eventually turn around and becoming a profit. So, Apple put together some court documents that were published this week, and they revealed that Epic committed $444 million in minimum guarantees for 2020 alone. They are they've lost 181 million on the Epic Game Store in 2019, projected to lose 273 million in 2020, even with the significant growth revenue for last year. They confirmed that 700 million was spent on the store in 2020.
Let me get the chart.
Mm-hmm.
The chart is really helpful because the chart says we made $700 million on the Epic Store, and 265 million of that was all third-party titles combined in a 3-year period. And you're like, what? You only made 265 million off of every third-party game on your goddamn fucking store?
Because the deal, remember when we would report that new indie game that we're looking forward to has been offered a deal they can't refuse by Epic? The deal ensures that the studio will continue to exist by making this in-development game a guaranteed success in terms of at least Epic pays for its initial sales launch and batch. So the studio was like, yeah, we'll take that exclusivity for a year or whatever, because why the fuck wouldn't you? It secures the studio, you know?
Yeah,
And
so I ran some quick maths on this due to the numbers that got released, and Tim Sweeney actually retweeted this loss number, going, "Yeah, we've been killing it." And I guess Tim just assumes no one knows how to do basic math because the chart is damning. They gave away 749 million free games, which means they had to pay a developer something for those games, right? Now, it could have either been a lump sum or a stipend per free game given away, right? They only made 700 million on the store total, which means they gave away 50 million more games than they made in dollars. Like, right off the bat, even assuming every free game they gave away was $1, they lost $50 million at least, but they probably lost millions.
so let's convert that to a calendar, shall we? According to Apple's documents from the filing here, at best, Epic does not expect the game store to have a cumulative gross profit before 2027.
All right, guys. Do you think they're gonna beat Steam by 2027? And if I can find it, I also ran some more math on it for loss leading. But basically, here we go. I went and tracked down the Steam numbers of Hades, right? Because Hades is probably the most high-profile, man, Epic paid for nothing they've ever done, right? Because everyone just pretended, from my personal experience anyway, that Hades just existed the instant it hit Steam and the Switch.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Right?
I had to, my neck almost broke on the double take.
Right? So, Hades on the PC, minimum, it could have sold up to 8 million, but minimum, it can be confirmed that it sold 2 million on Steam, right? Okay. Hades costs $20 USD, which means at the 30% cut that Steam has, they would have made 12 million off of that. Epic only gives a 12% cut because, you know, they have the better deal for developers, which means they would have had to have sold at least 6 million copies of Hades on the Epic Game Store. Does anyone believe that they sold 6 million copies of Hades on the Epic Game Store? I do not believe that is the case. They have created a system in which they are bankrolling indie studios so that the indie studios can then later sell most of their copies on platforms that aren't theirs. Like, people are describing this as loss leading, right? Loss leading, like on a PlayStation or an iPhone, is supposed to get you into the ecosystem and keep you on the ecosystem. But from my personal experience and what I can tell from every number I look at, what happens is they pay for something like Phoenix Point. People don't buy Phoenix Point on the Epic Game Store. The ones that do buy Phoenix Point on the Epic Game Store then just keep the Epic Game Store around to download every single free game that comes out, which costs them money. And then most people buy it on Steam or the console releases when it comes out.
Correct.
I think part of the reason that the Epic Game Store doesn't have reviews is because if the Epic Game Store had reviews built into their store, you'd be able to see that Hades would only have 1,100 reviews or some shit compared to the fucking how many?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Compared to the 127,000 that are on Steam.
Any form of community indicator would give a clue as to how much attention it's getting on the store itself.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
If they had reviews you could write, you would be able to immediately see the like multiplicative number that Steam had sold more than Epic. There are 127,000 Hades reviews. If the Epic Game Store had Hades up for review and it had like 10,000, you'd be like, holy shit, what a waste of money.
So, as a result, Epic has funded and must continue to fund the Epic Game Store through funding and capital raised by other parts of its business, which have been incredibly profitable for several years.
Which is Fortnite.
Literally the only thing keeping it going.
But
in response, Tim says that they expect, their calculations expect, that the Epic Game Store will be profitable by 2023.
Ooh, I bet. I bet. You know, Microsoft said the Xbox would be profitable one day, and they still haven't hit it. And they're doing a lot better job than Epic is.
Dude, I mean, look. On the one hand, everybody say thanks, Tim, for the free games.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.
I'm turning around on the Epic Store specifically because it is an indie charity fund. Like straight up.
Like on, you know, like let's like you can if you want a silver lining this sumbitch, it's like yeah, they're bleeding out of spite, and everybody can come get some juice before it falls. Come get it. But Fortnite is keeping them up.
I have an interesting supposition. Epic Games versus Apple is a lawsuit brought by Epic Games against Apple in August of 2020 in regards to Apple's practices in the iOS store, right? Because they didn't want to give the 30% revenue cut to Apple.
Yeah.
Do you have any inkling in your head that part of that might have been the Epic Store isn't making any money and the fucking stock price or whatever has to go up? Where can we get more money? Well, Fortnite's the only thing that makes money. The engine also makes money.
Oh.
Why don't we just go and get more money from phone users?
But motherfuckers on their iPhones are not getting as much money as they could from the only source of fucking gas they have.
They sell the engine too. The engine does make them a lot of money.
Yes,
you can't sell the engine more.
No, you need to hit the users. So
okay,
that's
Epic's private, so it's not stock prices. It's just give more money now.
So the whole campaign is based on them looking at the lifeblood of the entire company and and the continued loss of the game store and realizing they need to strike it harder.
This makes perfect sense. Okay, you've got the engine business, which you can't everyone's using that engine. There's no more and there's no more people to sell it to.
I mean, there are new developers pop up, but that's not the same level of profitability over time. It's not. It's a different discussion entirely.
Right. Okay. So the engine is like a set cost. It's going to make them money, and it's good. It has the same amount of cost. The development, yada yada. The store is tanking. The store's a money pit, and Fortnite is a money golden goose. But the problem with Fortnite is that Fortnite is the biggest game in the world.
Yes.
You can't get more people into it.
You can by just existing,
but not 100 million more, right? There's it's hit as bad of a big mass as it could possibly hit.
Maybe look. How about this? There's probably a set amount that you expect that it grows by every month, and the moment that slightly starts to dip, you have to look back at the existing base and go, how can we get more?
Actually, I was checking it out. The Fortnite player count stabilized last year around 340 million. I think it's 350 now.
Okay.
But, the Fortnite market is saturated.
And so look, instead of looking up, now we look down.
Yeah. Okay, we've got everyone we can get. How can we get more? Well, we'll have to get more out of every individual person.
Okay.
How do we
now,
do that?
Of the different groups of players here, how many are on phone?
A lot. I think it's 30%. And the phone is the only one of the platforms where they lose that big cut, I think. But I'm not super sure. But regardless, they lose the big cut.
Well, it's clearly enough of a cut that this entire big PR stink show they did, the fucking cringe show, was in their interest to try and convince people, because it's an amount that matters that much. If it's 30% of 30%, or whatever the amount would be.
Statistics 2020.
But the desperation behind this entire gesture now comes to light when Apple assesses the situation and looks at it and goes, yeah, this is kind of what they have to do. Because the game store, the money pit that is the game store, is the fucking blood wall from Johnny the Homicidal Maniac that you have to keep wetting with the fresh blood daily. Otherwise, it comes through, and we can't let it come through. It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense why this leads to that, and why they have to turn to Fortnite to figure out how to fucking pay for what is not going to make them a fucking dime until 2027.
Okay, hold on. Okay. So, let's do some quick math.
Sure.
What's 30% of $1.2 billion? Is it $40 million? I believe that's right. What's 1/3 of 1 point. It's 40 million, right?
Let's try to get it. Oh, not that many zeros on the calculator. Damn. Okay.
It's 400 million. Well,
40,
I have
40%?
some math for you. 30%
Yes.
of 1.2 billion is 400 million. Well, according to Sensor Tower, on September 2nd, 2020, State of the Mobile Battle Royale, Fortnite's loss on the mobile platforms represents a $1.2 billion hole in the market, which means if they had succeeded on their ability to cut out Apple, they would have made approximately $400 million a year, which would have paid for the Epic Store.
And probably have put them on track for 2023.
Yep. Look at that. Literally
How about
fucking
that?
figured it out. But now they lost that.
Good. Love a
now
good
the-
narrative. Love a good
Epic Store
narrative.
It's like a double loss because they lost the Fortnite mobile money over it.
Now that's what you call podcast math.
Oh, I love it. What a bunch of stupid idiots.